Elena has to face not only her complicated emotions with Liam, but also the responsibilities of being the queen of vampires and witches. How will she balance the two? Every update, Elena's story will take you deeper into the mystery. Subscribe and uncover the truth. Chapter 21 Elena's POV. I could hear everyone around me taking. It was like I was floating. I felt as light as a feather. What did you do to her? Evans asked Elijah angrily. I didn't do anything to her. We were talking and then she just passed out. She looked like she was in pain, I heard Liam say. It's him, I heard Theo say. I could feel them take their eyes off me and I could feel the anger radiating off of everyone. Who's him? Asked Noah. It's her story to tell, not ours, is the last thing I heard before I felt myself being placed down on something soft. I opened my eyes and I was outside. I looked around confused. I could have sworn I was just with my brothers. I felt a presence behind me. I turned around and it was the moon goddess. I gasped and bowed down. I felt her come closer and she lifted up my chin. Come here, my child. I am sorry that things have been difficult with you and your mate. It was never supposed to be like this. But things I never saw coming happened. I looked up at her with tears in my eyes. I know you're in pain, my child, but you're strong and I know you can handle it. You and your mate were destined for each other. Your love for each other has always been bigger than anything. A love like no other. She said as she looked at me and played with my curls. Y'all are the destined ones, she said as she looked at me with a breathtaking smile. What do you mean, the destined? I will see you soon, my child. Remember to stay strong and not to give up on Liam, she said as she kisses my head and I felt myself falling. Wait, what do you? I said. She always does this, I mumbled as I started to sit up on my bed. Who? I heard beside me. I screamed as I looked to my left and there sat my dumb brother. Oh my gosh, you scared me. Why are you sitting in the corner of my room like a creep? You, I said, but was interrupted by the door slamming open. What happened? Are you okay? Said my dad, looking around for any type of threat. Yes, Dad, I'm okay. It was just your idiot son sitting in the corner of my room like a creep, I said with a sheepish smile. Hey, said Theo, are you okay? Asked my mom, looking at me sadly. Yeah, I'm fine, I said, giving them a small smile. I looked at them and noticed they were all dressed up. Where are y'all going? I asked them, looking at how nice they all looked. Your grandma called all royal families for a dinner. Apparently there is lots to discuss, said my mom. Okay, I said. We didn't think you'd want to go and be around lots of people after what just happened, said my dad, looking at me with a sad smile. I'll be fine, don't worry about me, Dad, I said with a reassuring smile. Okay, just make sure if you need anything you call us, okay, Elena, said my mom. I will, Mom. Now go or y'all will be late, I said as I got up and hugged them. I saw them pull out and leave in 2 cars. I sighed as I thought about what to do in this big house all by myself. I turned on the TV and put on some Grey's Anatomy. I cuddled up in my blankets and started watching the show. Stay strong, don't give up on him. I heard in my head as I was watching Grey's Anatomy. Stay strong, don't give up on him. I covered my head with a pillow as her words kept repeating in my head. Stay strong, don't give up on him. Oh my God, fine, I'll go. She always does this, I mumbled as I got up, turned off the TV. I got into the shower, washed my hair and made sure everything was shaved. After 20 minutes I finally got out the shower. I know I take very long showers, but I can't help it. I got out and started applying stuff to my natural curls. When I was done applying the products to my hair, I finally started on my makeup. I did my eyebrows and made sure they were even because if they weren't I would be bothered all afternoon. I put on some natural colored eyeshadow and put some mascara on my naturally long eyelashes. I added some gloss to my lips and headed to my closet. I walked into my closet and started looking at all the dresses I had. I spotted this black one. It came down halfway down my thighs. And it was sparkly and had slits on the arms. I grabbed some sparkly black heels and put on some gold earrings on and some bracelets on my hands. I made sure to put on some perfume, grabbed my phone and bag, and teleported to the front door of where they were going to have dinner. I teleported in front of the house and almost lost my balance as I was still kind of weak from before. I held onto the staircase railing and when I was good I looked around and noticed around 10 cars outside. I sighed as I walked up the stairs. I opened the door as it was my grandma's castle, and I knew they'd all be in the living room. I walked in and walked towards the living room as I could hear them talking. The closer I got the stronger his scent got. Stay strong, don't give up on him. That's all I could hear as I got closer to him. I walked in and everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at me. I could feel his eyes burning holes as I could feel him looking at me up and down. "Oh, Elena, you made it," said my grandma as she came up to me. Yeah, I did, Grandma, I said, hugging her tight as I felt myself start to get tears in my eyes. I felt myself get pulled out of her arms and into the arms of my other grandma, who I could tell by her scent. Are you okay? She whispered to me in my ear as she pulled away from me and looked at my face as she held it. Yes, I lied, but from the look they both gave me I know they could tell I wasn't okay. I stepped forward and bowed down to the other queens and kings there. As they just smiled and nodded, I walked towards my parents as they smiled at me. You made it, Elena. Are you sure you feel all right? Asked my mom. Yes, Mom, I'm fine. I promise. I told her. Dinner is served, said one of the servants. We all made our way to the dining table, which was huge. We each sat down. I ended up sitting between Celeste and Sapphire. And of course I can never escape Liam, and he ended up in front of me with his brothers beside him, and 2 chairs down sat Liam. I noticed that Liam kept glancing at Liam with curiosity in his eyes. And then he looked up at me with a questioning look. I ignored him and looked to my grandma, who was looking at me. Everything about this was awkward. It's like no one knew what to say. Liam was here because he is the next to be royal second in hand of the vampires, which is a beta if you were to see it in the wolf's point of view. His parents were the second hands with my grandparents, who were going to step down and hand everything to us. And me being the only one with the vampire blood, I'm the one that now holds the responsibility of being the vampire queen and witch queen. And to be honest, I don't know how I'm going to handle everything. My parents skipped this for some reason. Maybe they were smart. But I can't do the same. Because the 2 kingdoms now depend on me, and it is my responsibility to rule and protect both. With or without my mate. Chapter 22, Elena's POV. The food had finally been brought out and everyone started to get their plates. I just grabbed some steak that came with some veggies at the side. Everyone started to eat and I started to play with my food like I usually do these days. I felt a stare on the side of my face and looked up to see my grandma staring at me and then down at my plate. Are you going to eat that? I heard her say in my ear. She was using magic on me, which never turned out good. If you don't eat your food, I'm going to use this same magic and hold you down and shove the food down till you've eaten. Do you understand? She said, looking at me with a raised brow. I felt my eyes widen when she said that, and I quickly nodded as I started to eat quickly. Whenever she uses her magic, it's never good. She's too playful, and her having magic is worse with her personality. It's funny when she's doing it to other people, but not when she's doing it to me. So why were we asked to be here? Asked the king of the Angeles. I'm not going to lie, he wasn't bad looking for him being an angel. He was literally an angel, a god at it. But he would never compare to Liam. Because it's about time that we become allies. Our ancestors fought for the reasons to which do not matter today. Rouges and demons have started working together and are building armies. And we will survive this together if they choose to attack one of us, said my grandpa the Vampire King while he looked at everyone. Why would we work with you? Said my mate with a look of disgust. Liam. Manners, I taught you better than this. Said his mom. No, Mom, you know what one of them did. Why would we help the people who killed my sister? Your fucking daughter, or did you forget? He said, looking at her and then looking at me. Liam, calm down. You are not yet king, so I'd suggest you fix the way you're talking to your mother. And to them, said his dad, starting to get angry. Whoa, this escalated very quickly. 1 minute we are having an awkward dinner and now insults are being thrown. I felt my sisters grab my hands under the table supporting me. And I was so thankful for them because his words were starting to hurt. Knowing that he despises the fact I'm a vampire so much. Liam Avery Summerhalder, watch your mouth, not all of them are going to be like them. What if your mate ended up being a vampire? What would you do then? Said his mother. I'd reject her. I'd never want to be with a blood-sucking killer. I'd rather be dead, he said with no emotion as he looked straight at me. I could feel my face pale as he said this. Never would I imagine that such words would have ever been said to me, or that they would have hurt this bad. I heard my vampire whine in the back of my head. Hearing her mate talk this way about her was like she was being stabbed. I saw my siblings tense up as they started growling. I saw my grandmas look at each other before looking back at me. Watch your fucking mouth, Summerhalder, said Theo through gritted teeth. I am nothing like them, I yelled at him as I stood up with such force that my chair flew back into the ground. Oh really, so this doesn't affect you, he said as he grabbed a knife and slit his wrist quickly covering in blood. I felt myself tense up as I felt my eyes start to turn red, but I stopped them. You are just like them. You are nothing but a blood-sucking leech. He yelled. I saw something flash through his eyes, but it was gone as fast as it came. This is the bastard. He is the one that rejected Elena and he was still around the house and around her. How could y'all let this happen? Asked my grandpa as he was angry now. I heard Liam's mom gasp. Liam, why you rejected your mate? She asked, shocked as her mate was beside her looking angry and about to explode. I looked around me embarrassed. My mom had tears in her eyes as she looked at me with sadness. My grandmas looked mad but they were too calm for my liking. That was never good. The Evans were looking at me with sadness, especially Liam. I can't believe everyone here now knew I was rejected, and by whom? I was trying to control my tears. I felt like I was about to fall. Stay strong, don't give up on him. I could feel the pain my vampire was in from her mate talking about her this way. Stay strong, don't give up on him. A headache was starting to form. Especially after those words keep repeating in my head like a record player. Stay strong, don't give up on him. Excuse me, I mumbled as I left the room and walked towards the library. I was going to look around and see if I could find something on the destined ones, whatever that meant. The moon goddess had the habit of telling me stuff but never answering my damn questions. I sighed as I walked into the giant library. They have all kinds of books. Mating, witches, vampires. But one caught my attention. The moon goddess chosen one, I hummed as I grabbed it and started walking out into my favorite part of the castle. Chapter 23, Elena's POV. I walked down the halls of my grandparents' huge castle, looking at all the paintings on the wall of the previous kings and queens. The kings had one side and the queens the other side. But they were right in front of their mates looking at each other. One day my picture would be right beside my grandma's, and I'll probably be the only one up there without a mate. I sighed and continued on my way to the garden. It was my favorite part. She had it decorated so pretty. It had fountains and I loved how I was surrounded by water. And around the little pond was plants and statues. It looked so beautiful. I made my way to the center and sat down and inhaled the scent of nature. It had been a while since I was so close with nature. I hadn't fully connected with it in a while. I dipped my fingers in the water as I felt it wrap up my hand. I started laughing as I felt good. I hadn't felt so calm and relaxed in a while. I felt the air around me pick up as I felt it hug around me. I just smiled and pulled my hand out the water and opened the book I had brought out. The Moon Goddess's Chosen One. One day a child will be born, and this child will be nothing like a regular werewolf. This child will possess powers that others have wanted. She will be unique and powerful. People from darkest corners of the forest will come for her and try to make her theirs. Her children are also said to be powerful and therefore everyone will want her children. And this child along with her mate are going to be the Moon Goddess's warriors. The ones protecting the supernatural world of harm. Their love will be like no other. Their love is so strong. Elena. I heard Celeste yell. What? I said, looking up at her with annoyance. I just had the most brilliant idea, said Celeste. I doubted. I whispered. Hey, I hope you know I can hear you. Werewolf hearing and all, she said, rolling her eyes at me. But like I was saying, we should go to that nightclub near here that we like going to whenever we come here, she said, smirking, knowing she had me at nightclub. You know what, Celeste, that is the best idea you've ever had, I said, winking at her. I quickly got up from where I was sitting and ran towards her and grabbed her as I pulled her inside. Come on, Celeste, you are so slow, I said, pulling her as we got into the living room where all the young adults were at. My mate was in the corner sitting down looking out the window unbothered while my brothers were basically killing him with their eyes. Come on, Sapphire, I said as I pulled her off the couch, causing her to almost fall on her face. Elena, what the hell, you Almas? She started to say but stopped when she saw my face. All she did was smirk back as she already knew where we were going. I was one to love partying. You could say between me and my sisters the bad influence was me. But that's okay because it's not like I forced them. We are better when we are together, but according to my brothers we are bad together and cause bigger trouble on them. I know, Elena, don't even think about it, said Nick as he saw the look on my face. Oh, whatever do you mean, brother, I said, giving him an innocent smile. No, Elena, we know that evil face anywhere. I see it in my nightum, Theo, said Asher as he shuddered. Y'all are such drama queens, I said, rolling my eyes. Us dramatic. Have you seen yourself when you get drunk or high off blood, he said, looking at me with an accusing face. I saw Ellie getting the girls out of the corner of my eyes. When you drink blood it feels like you're floating, and the more you take the better it feels. It's a feeling that's unexplainable. And vampires know that drinking fresh blood while having sex is the absolutely best feeling. It's like being on drugs. I made eye contact with every single one of my brothers as I smirked and made a run towards where all the girls were standing. My brothers saw that coming as they started to run towards us, but they were too late. "Goodbye, brothers," I said as I smirked and winked at them. Last thing I saw was Liam staring at me. Chapter 24 Liam's POV. As soon as I said what I said to her, I regretted it. I saw the hurt flash through her eyes and I saw tears start to well up. "You hurt, mate," growled Odysseus. "I know I did. But it's what I have to do," I told Odysseus. "No, it's not. Your sister would be mad at you if she found out what you're doing to your mate." He growled at me. "No, she'd be mad that I betrayed her by being with a vampire," I told him. But the longer I think about, the longer I wonder if it's true. Or is it just me making up excuses? I saw her leave and head down the hallway. I sighed as I got up and headed to where we had first been, the giant living room. I had been sitting there looking out the window when I saw my mate go out and head towards this pond they had out there. I saw her sit down and saw as she dipped her fingers in the water, and the water starting going up her hand and wrapping around her hand. I leaned closer to the window as I saw the air around her pick up and the water start to lift out the pond. Wow, she really was beautiful. "Amazing, isn't it?" I heard behind me. I looked back to see Theo looking out the window as well. "I don't understand why you won't give her a chance. She's amazing in what she is, and can do makes her even more amazing and beautiful. She's a gift given to you," said Theo as he continued to look out the window. "I know, but I can't," I said as I saw her sister come out and say something, and next thing you know she smirked and ran inside pulling her sister. "Oh God, this isn't good," mumbled Theo as everyone else came in. "What?" said Asher. "Elena has that face," he mumbled. All of her brothers looked up at that, and I saw Sapphire smirk as well. I really want to give in. I hate treating her like this, but I know it's the only way. If I don't push her away and make her hate me, I'm going to fall. And I can't do that to my sister. "Come on, Sapphire," I heard my mate say, causing me to look away from the window. Her and her brothers starting talking about I don't know what. I was too busy admiring her. She really was the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. From her natural curls to her beautiful body, to the way her dimples would pop up when she smiled, to the blush she'd get on her cheeks when she was mad or embarrassed, or to the way she looked at me, which I always noticed. I'm so close to giving in. I've barely talked to her and I know I'm already in love. I hate to admit it because I don't want to. What happened to my sister was horrible, and I know Elena would never do anything like that. But the guilt I feel for being with a vampire is overpowering everything. I saw her run to the girls as she looked at everyone. "Goodbye, brothers," she said and winked. And then they were gone. "Where the hell did she just go?" I asked, standing up and out my seat. "That right there is a typical Elena move," said Nick, sighing. "Well, let's go," said Elijah. "How do y'all know where they went?" said Justin. "Where she always goes," said that dude Liam. "And where is that?" said Alex. "You'll see," said Noah as he smirked and got up. We all got up and got our car keys just as all the adults came in. "Where are y'all going?" said Alpha Michael. "Elena did it again," said Asher. "That girl, when will she learn?" said Alpha Michael. "Babe, just let them have fun. She needs it," said Luna Isabella as she looked at me. "Just be careful. You know how she gets, especially right now with her emotions all over the place," said Alpha Michael. "I know, Dad," said Theo as we all walked out the door into our cars. 30 minutes later we were pulling up to what looked like a nightclub. "This girl has taste," said Alex, smirking. "That she does," said Noah. We walked in and it was huge. It was packed. I could smell that there were not only vampires here but all kind of supernatural beings. We spotted the girls and headed to the private area where they were at, but I didn't see my mate. She better not be dancing with no other male, or Odysseus is coming out to play. We sat down and I saw her sister's eyes widen as they looked behind me and then at me. I was about to turn around when some Barbie blocked my view. "Excuse me," I growled out. "Hey there, cutie, want to dance?" she said as she started touching my arm and batting her lashes, which to me looked like spiders dancing on her eyes. "No," I said as I pulled her off me. "Oh, come on, you know you want to," she purred. "No, now leave. I'm pretty sure you know who you're talking to, so disobey my orders again, and there will be consequences." I growled at her. She showed her neck, submitting, and walked away. I finally looked behind me, and what I saw had my blood boiling. Chapter 25 Elena's POV. We got to the club and we walked in, and like usual it was packed. This had to be my favorite club. I had met so many people here. "Oh my God, I missed this place so much," screamed Ellie over their loud music. "Right," screamed me and my sisters at the same time. "Let's go, follow me," I yelled. I walked us to the VIP section on the side that was a bit elevated so it looked over everyone. "Elena, Long time no see, said a voice behind me. I turned and there stood an old friend. Oh my God, Victor. I yelled as I hugged him. The usual, he said, looking up and down my body with a smirk. Yes, and whatever they're going to get, I said with a smile. Oh shit, there's more beauties, he said, looking at everyone. Celeste, Sapphire. Ellie, how are y'all, he said with a smile. Amazing, now just send bottles over, she said with a smile. On it, ladies, he said as he walked away, not before sending me a wink. A while back me and him had a thing, we'd sleep around and whatnot, but we've always been good friends and it's never been more than that. He came back with 5 different drinks and my usual margaritas. Here you go, ladies, if you need anything else don't hesitate to come look for me, he said, saying the last part to me with a smirk on his face. Okay ladies, we need this, especially Elena, said Madeline with an awkward face. Drinks up, bitches, I yelled as we all chugged down the tequila. We've been here for like 15 minutes and I've already drank most of my pain away. There was half a bottle left. I finished the rest of my margarita as a Bad Bunny song came on. Bringing out my inner Latina, I got up and ran to the dance floor as I started moving my hips around to the beat of the music. If only Liam was here so I could dance on him and feel him against my body. One thing I've always hated about getting drunk is that I get so horny. And that's when I also start drinking blood. And it can get out of control. I continued to dance, moving my hips, and I felt someone grab onto my hips and grind against my ass. For a minute I forgot I had a mate. But when I finally realized what I was doing, I went to pull away, but I was pulled back and into a hard chest. What the hell are you doing, said my mate in his sexy voice. I could feel the sparks on my arms and going up my body, causing me to moan at the sensation. 1 minute we were in the middle of a dance floor, the next we were in a bathroom. He slammed the door open, pulled me in and started kissing me forcefully, causing me to moan into the kiss. He picked me up and sat me down on the sink and got between my legs. He brought his large tattooed arms down to my neck as he held onto me and forced my face up so he could have more access. He was being so rough yet soft and it was all a huge turn on. I was trying so hard to pull away, but the way he was holding me was impossible for me to want to move away. He forcefully pulled me closer to him, causing my legs to spread further apart, and now our sexes were touching. I could feel as he twitched under his pants, wanting to be released. I wrapped my hands around his neck and pulled at the ends of his hair, causing him to let out a groan. He started kissing down my neck as he started to go lower. We gotta stop, I told him out of breath. He kissed and sucked at a specific spot on my neck, causing my head to go back, giving him more access. Liam, we have to, I said, pushing him away. He pulled away and I hopped off the counter and went to open the door. But he pulled me back from the door. Liam, please move, we need to go back, they're going to start wondering where we are, I told him quietly. Elena, he started to say. No, we need to go now, Liam, I told him sadly. Elena, please, he said, and then pulled me towards him. But I kept fighting him and trying to walk out the door. Because I knew if I stayed any longer something would happen that we would both regret. Stop doing that, he growled out. Let me go, I told him as I tried to pull away. I'm never letting you go, he whispered in my ear. Why not? Why do you want me around if all you're going to do is hurt me and ignore me, I whispered as I felt tears. You don't care about me, I whispered. Yes, I do. I care more about you than I should, he whispered as he put my hair behind my ears and looked down at me. Then why do you treat me like this, I said, looking up at him. It hurts, I whispered. I know, baby. I'm sorry, he said, looking down at me with sadness in his eyes. Are you going to let me in, I whispered as I looked in his eyes, looking for some type of answer. He said, but I could see it in his eyes he wasn't going to. Yeah, I thought so, I said as a tear slipped down my eye. Elena, peel, he started to say, but I quickly wiped the tear down that fell and walked out the door. I know you won't accept me for what I am, and I'm sorry that I had to be the thing you despise most, I said, looking over my shoulder before walking away and leaving him there. I walked to the bar with tears going down my face. I quickly wiped them and smiled. Can I get 2 shots of tequila, please, I told the bartender. Sure, he said, and handed me my 2 shots as I quickly chugged them. I walked back to where everyone else was and sat down. I looked at everyone and mostly everyone was cuddled up and smiling. I wish that was me. But instead I got stuck with someone who doesn't want me. I sighed as I chugged down another drink. Ellie had turned out to be Alex's mate, and I was so happy for them. Nick's and Elijah's mates were away, and that's why they hadn't came here yet. But I could tell my brothers were starting to get restless. I chugged down the rest of my drink as I saw Liam sit down. I could feel the drink start to weigh down on me. Out of nowhere I smelt blood, causing me to tense up. My head automatically moved in the direction of where the smell was coming from. I saw Noah, Ellie's and Liam's head turn in the same direction. We looked at each other as everyone else turned to us. What is it? Asked Nick, concerned. Blood, we all mumbled. I quickly got up and headed in the direction of it. Elena, be careful, said my brother angrily as he pulled me back. I just ignored him and kept on going. I could feel my eyes start to turn red, but there was too much blood for it to be someone drinking blood. We followed the smell and it led us to the back, and there stood 3 dead bodies with a note on top of them. Chapter 26, Elena's POV. I got closer to the bodies and my God, did they look bad. I grabbed the letter and read it. I sighed as my brother was calling someone to come clean this up. Poor girls, they had just come here for a night out and they end up like this. I blinked the tears away, knowing this was my fault. What did the note say? Asked Nick. It was for me, I mumbled. I heard someone's growl behind me, but I ignored it. Elena, what did the note say? Asked Elijah. At this point, all the alcohol had disappeared out my system. I was thinking about what to do. He was going to come soon. Let's go, I said, looking around. He could be watching me right now and I'd never know. For all we know, he could attack right now. As I was looking around, I noticed someone on top of the building aiming an arrow at us. I quickly surrounded us with a protection barrier type bubble just as he aimed. If I hadn't done that when I did, that would have hit Nick. Oh my God, I heard someone say. We have to get out of here, I told them as I looked around. Can you teleport us out? Asked Theo, looking around. I looked and I knew I had no other option but to do this. I had teleported earlier and that made me a little weak, and now this giant force field. And now having to teleport this many people at once could not be good for me, but I know I had to. I just nodded as everyone held hands and I teleported them to the front of my grandma's castle. When I knew they were safe and in front of the castle, I took the barrier down. I knew he wouldn't hurt me. He needed me, wanted me. You didn't have to kill them, I said to him as he was now in front of me. Actually, baby, we did, he said as he looked at me up and down. I looked at him with disgust, but I knew my time was almost up. If he kept killing innocent people, then I'd have to go myself. And we are going to keep doing this till you decide to willingly come with us, he said. I am not going to give up easily. If you want me so bad, come get me, I said. But I knew he wouldn't try it, even though I am very weak and I can feel I'm about to pass out. He doesn't know that and therefore won't try anything. He went to make a move, and as he did, I raised my hand. Do you really want to try it? I said, raising my eyebrow, but I hoped he wouldn't try it, cause then I really would be screwed. We will come back for you, Mia Moore, he said before disappearing in the shadows. I sighed in relief and looked around. My time here was more and more closer to being done. And I really don't have anything to fight for anymore. My mate doesn't want me, he won't accept me, so what else is there to fight for? That way my family will be safe. I smelt someone coming and I turned in the directions to see a human. Hello there, darling, said the man, looking at me hungrily. Back off, I told him. Come on, darling, let's have some fun, he said, coming towards me. Fine, let's have some fun, I said as I smirked. Yeah, come here, I'll make you feel so good, he said as he came closer to me. When he was right in front of me, I pulled him towards me and bit into his neck as I started drinking blood. But it started to burn as soon as it went down my throat. I pulled away as I felt like my throat was burning inside out. I could feel myself start to pass out. This wasn't good. No, this can't be happening. I looked into the shadows and saw him smirking. I quickly teleported back home as I felt myself to lose consciousness. I could feel blood coming out my mouth from whatever it was he had in his system. I landed with a thug in my grandma's living room where everyone was pacing around. Elena. I heard someone yell, but I was too busy scratching at my throat and trying to breathe to notice who it was. Oh my God, what happened? I heard someone say BB blood. I croaked out as my throat hurt more. Someone had something in their system, I heard my grandma say. This is why you should have come with us and not stayed behind, I heard Theo yell. I'm fine was the last thing I said before I passed out. Chapter 27, Elena's POV. I woke up for like the 100th time this week. I was in my bed and I was alone. I looked out the window and the sun was rising, which meant I had been out for a couple hours. I got up and walked out into the hallway, which made me realize we were still in the castle. I walked down the steps and towards the kitchen. As I was walking in, I looked up and saw my mate sitting there, his back to me. I quickly and quietly turned around to head out when he called me. Elena, he said in a sleepy voice. Fuck, I didn't even make any noises. I sighed as I went into the kitchen and sat down across him. Yes, I whispered as I sat down. Are you okay? He asked me, causing me to look up. Yes, I whispered. What happened out there? He asked me. Nothing, it was nothing new. It's under control. I told him you were threatened and you stayed behind. And you come back and you're passing out. That's not nothing, he told me as he got up and came closer. Are you going to accept me or am I wasting my time? I told him. We won't be able to be together, he said, looking down at me. Okay, I told him quietly. I got up and went back into my room and sat in my balcony that overlooked everything. I could see the beach in the distance. When will I start my training for the throne? I told my grandmas as I felt them behind me. Why didn't you tell us that you had found your mate? Asked my grandma Elizabeth, aka the Vampire Queen. Because I didn't see why I should if I really don't have one, I told them as I started to get mad and the wind picked up around me. What will you do? Asked my grandma Beatrice, aka the Queen of Witches. Nothing, I told them as I sighed. And what will you do about your stalker? We know you and we know you're planning something, said Elizabeth. I'm not going to do anything. I'm tired, I don't have the energy to do anything. I told her as I felt my wolf start to get restless. Elena, how are you really feeling? I can't imagine how you're feeling because I have your grandpa and it wasn't ever really hard for us. Tell me, child, what do we need to do for you? Said Beatrice. I just need to be left alone. I'm tired, I told them as I looked away to hide the tears. I felt them both get up and they both came and kissed my cheek and then walked out. I sighed and got up and took a shower. After my shower I changed into a blue dress and put on some necklaces. Since we were still with a lot of other royals, had to dress the part. I finished curling my hair and added my makeup, and after almost 30 minutes I was finally done. I grabbed my phone and walked out. I closed my door and turned back to head towards the kitchen when I bumped into Liam's mom. I'm so sorry, Luna, I whispered as I bowed. There's no need for that, Elena, she said as she looked at me sadly. I want to apologize for my son. I don't know what got into him. And you are so beautiful and look like such a loving, kind girl. And you don't deserve this. I found out about what's happened to you. And I am so sorry, she said as tears started to form in her eyes. It's okay, I told her as I forced a smile and tried to hold back the tears. No, it's not, and I'm begging you, Elena, please don't give up on him. I know this so much of me to ask. Because I know you're in pain. But I can see even after the way he's treated you. You care about him. I can see it in your eyes and the way you look at him. And I know he sees Theo too, I can see it. And he's trying to hold back because of his sister. But I know he sees Theo about you. And I don't want him to lose you for good. Just please don't give up on him, she said as she hugged me and walked down the hall. I just stood there and looked to where she was just standing. Everyone is telling me not to give up on him and be patient. But what about me? He is literally breaking me apart. I'm holding on to him. But who's going to hold me and make sure I don't fall apart? I sighed as I wiped my eyes carefully and continued in the direction that Liam's mom had just gone. I walked into the kitchen and everyone was already sitting down and eating breakfast. I quickly spotted him and I looked around and the only chair left was beside him. Fucking shit. Why does this stuff always happen to me? I just wanted to be with my mate and be happy with him. But he despises me. And the universe just keeps pulling us together. Like the moon goddess is just playing some sick joke with me. I made my way to the chair beside him and sat down. I grabbed some orange juice and drank some as I started to scroll through my phone. I felt someone staring at me, so I looked up and there was my grandma Elizabeth staring right into my Elena. I gave her a wet face as she just kept staring at me. I saw her stare down at the empty plate in front of me as she looked back at me and raised her eyebrow. Rolling my eyes, I grabbed a piece of toast and put some jelly on it and forced it down my throat. With everything that's been happening, I physically can't eat. They are preventing me from it. If I do, I just throw it back up. I closed my eyes as I felt it start to come back up. I could feel the heat from my mate and I could almost feel my skin tingling from how close we were. I sighed as I started listening to the adults' conversation. How bad is the situation with the Rouges and demons? Asked Alpha Michael. They seem to be growing by the day. We actually have the council coming down to talk about it and so we can sign the alley treaty, said my grandpa looking at me. I tensed up when I heard that the council was coming. I wasn't liked by some people. And one of the people who happened to not like me was one of the most powerful members of the council. To her I'm a disgrace and according to her I should not exist and therefore treats me like I'm a piece of trash. And will always use her powers on me. I know I'm way stronger than her. But she's part of the council, therefore above everyone. But I'm not sure how I'll react to her threats this time. With everything going on. Chapter 28. Elena's POV. As soon as they finished talking, we all got up and I decided to show all the others around the castle. This castle was gorgeous. It had a old look to it, but at the same time my grandma keeps it modern. Wow, said Sophie. I looked up to see what she was looking at, and it was the hallways that had all the pervious royals, all in order with their mates right in front of them. We walked down the hallway admiring all of the previous kings and queens. Wow, will you be up here when you become queen? Asked Madeline as she looked at the picture of my grandma. Yeah, my picture will be up there. I smiled sadly at her. Then she looked across from her to my grandpa's picture, and the empty spot beside it. What about? What happens when that spot is empty? She said as everyone turned to look at me. I saw Liam tense up from the corner of my eye as he stared at me. I don't know. It's never happened before. As you can see, everyone has someone. I'll just be the first, I guess, I said, forcing a smile. I walked away and towards the main hall leading to where everyone else was. I could feel them walking behind me. Welcome, council members, I heard my grandpa Elliot say. Vampire King. I tensed up as I mentally prepared myself for what was going to happen with Cecil. Everyone knew how that girl acted towards me, but could do nothing about it due to her being one of the most powerful council members. We walked into the common room, and as soon as I walked in I was falling to the ground holding my head. I could hear Athena and Stella whining in my head. It felt as if my brain was being melted off. I could hear the ringing in my ears. I felt someone catch me as I was falling. I automatically felt the sparks and the ringing in my ears died down a little. My head started to hurt less and it now felt bearable. What is wrong with her? Asked Liam as I felt him grab my face and pull me closer to him. That bitch is what's wrong. She must have forgotten to put her shield up. This bitch always does this to her, said Celeste. I'm good, I told them as I got up and out of his arms. Did she not go full power on you today? Whispered Theo as he grabbed me and looked at me. Oh no, she most definitely did, I whispered as I looked up at Liam and then back at Theo. How did he stop it? Asked Asher, confused as they all looked up at Liam, who was looking at us confused. I don't know, I told them as I looked at Cecil and walked in the room towards them. She was looking at me confused with an eyebrow raised. She then looked at Liam and then back at me. Good afternoon, I told them as I bowed down and continued on my way to stand in between my grandmas. Elena, hey, said Luna, one of the other council members. She was such a good friend with me and my family, while her George and Felix were. Cecil, though. I could not speak for her. Hey Luna, I smiled at her as I bowed out of respect and playfulness. So this treaty, said George. Yes, we've decided it's time, and plus with Elena about to take over the throne. And her ma dash. Well, you know it's just time, said my grandpa looking at me. I hate this, the fact that they think they have to watch what they say like I'm some ticking bomb about to explode. I know Theo isn't a vampire, but he's still family with them. Shared a womb with one, as a matter of fact. And I shouldn't feel this way because I know I should be happy for my brother, but the selfish part of me is jealous that he's happy with his mate. And it's time I start worrying about me and focus on my family and my training for the throne. I can't rule two kingdoms like this. Okay, and every kingdom present will be signing today. Asked Felix, looking around. I looked around to see everyone signing, nodding their head. I looked at Cecil to see her staring at me and then at Liam. I made eye contact and we stood there for 2 minutes just daring the other to make a move. If I made a move I would be in trouble, but if she did, it would be plain self-defense. I saw her eye my mate and I saw her try and do her mind thing on me, but I had a protective spell around me and Liam in case she tried anything on him to try an experiment, because from her eyes I could tell she was curious as to why the mind thing she does stopped so sudden. I saw her start to get angry as her little mind thing wasn't working on Liam either. I just smirked at her and looked away and towards everyone who I had just noticed stopped talking and were watching us. Waiting for something to happen. Everyone knew how things got with us. Well, my family and the council. I raised an eyebrow at her as I saw her step forward. I saw Liam get closer to me as well as Theo. Cecil, I heard George warn her. But I was really hoping she would come for me because I need to get some anger out, and what better person than her. Chapter 29, Elena's POV. I heard you got rejected, she said, smirking. I just looked at her, trying to calm down. Knowing if Stella or Athena come out it's not going to end up good. I told you, you don't belong here, you shouldn't even exist. You were the moon goddess's experiment. You were her mistake in the lab, experiment gone wrong. And from the looks even your mate can't be around you because of what you are. How does that feel, Elena, she said, smirking at me. How does it feel to be everyone's trouble? And the most unwanted person, she said. You have killed hundreds of people on purpose and on accident. You lose control too often. Other people always have to clean up after you. Look how long your family has been running for you, she said. I looked up at my family as I knew she was right. I have been nothing but trouble to them. They don't know peace because of me. Even Liam knew to leave. She smirked at me as she winked at him. Everyone will always leave you, no one will choose you in the end. Because they know if they do, they'll never be at peace, she said. Maybe I'll take Liam like I took Liam, she smirked. I aimed at her but was pulled back into a hard chest. And pulled out of the room. I could feel Stella and Athena wanting to come out. They feel hurt and mad from everything Cecil had just said. Because deep in us we knew she was right. Elena, I heard him call me as he grabbed my face and tried to get me to look at him. My eyes were fully red, I could feel them. I could feel the anger and sadness radiating out my body and around me. I was trying hard not to lose control. Because if I did, I know I would probably end up killing her. I breathed in and out trying to calm myself down. Out of habit, I started to dig my nails into my skin, causing blood to come out. I was shaking and trying so hard not to lose control. I guess Liam smelt the blood because soon after he grabbed my hands and put them in his as he looked down at the scars I had from all the previous times that I had done this and left little scars. I'm okay, you can go back, I told him as I had started to calm down because of his touch. Elena, he started to say. Liam, I'm fine, I told him as I forced a smile and looked out the window. I can't keep doing this, you know, you're hurting me, you're hurting Stella, you're hurting Athena, I told him. You're slowly breaking us apart, I told him as I sat down at the balcony. Your sister accepted my brother. Why can't you accept me, I told him. He stayed quiet at that. I would have thought he had left because he made no sound. But I could still feel him behind me. It was so quiet you could have heard a pin drop. I closed my eyes as I felt the wind pick up around me, and I could almost hear it communicating with me. The silence and how everything seemed so relaxed made me realize how truly tired I was. I inhaled, smelling the freshness. I was almost in a state of meditation, but was pulled out as I was pulled up from my seat. I opened my eyes and Liam was looking right at my eyes, and he then bent down and kissed me hard, as if I would slip right under him and disappear. Chapter 30, Elena's POV. I was shocked. I did not expect him to kiss me. He was making me confused and hurting me more by doing this. Because he always does this, he always has a moment of weakness. And then he realizes what he did and then he treats me worse. I pulled away, as I ran my hand through my curls and looked at him and then out the balcony behind him. You can't keep doing this, I told him as I turned around and paced around the room. You always do this, you always have a moment of weakness and then later regret it and punish me for it, I told him as I started to dig my nails in my skin once again. I don't know how much longer I can take of this, I'm holding on by a thread. And you doing this is not helping, I told him. You don't really want me, you've made that very clear by the way you act and the things you've said to me, I told him as I dug my nails deeper. Elena, he started but I cut him off. Just reject me. Maybe then I started but was cut off as he forcefully grabbed me and held on to me right as he screamed at me. I fucking can't, he yelled as he shook me. I just stood there wide-eyed looking at him, wondering if I should move or not. I've tried for my sister. But I fucking can't. And I try not to give in to you, but you just make that so fucking hard for me. He said as he looked down at me. I can't anymore, I'm giving in. I can't keep resisting. You are all I think about always, and every time I see you hurt or I know that I'm the reason why you're hurting, it kills me. How could I feel this way for a girl I haven't even truly met? He said as he put my hair behind my ear. I'm tired of fighting it, Elena, he whispered as he leaned down and placed his forehead against mine. In my head, Athena was running around in circles all happy, while Stella was cautious, but I could tell she was feeling happy as well, but was scared to get hurt again. Liam. I'm scared, I told him quietly, I know, and that's my fault. But I will get you to trust me again. I promise, he said as he pulled me into a hug as my head lay on his chest. I closed my eyes at the feeling of being in his arms as I felt a tear slip from my eyes. I was truly scared because this could be another one of his moments of weakness. I would not give my all or drop the wall I built until I know that he will not leave again, and that this isn't one of his moments. I feel like the rug will be pulled from right under me. And I'm scared that as soon as I give in he will realize it was a mistake. Like Cecil said, no one ever really stays with me. Everyone ends up leaving because they know that with me life won't be easy. I always have people after me and I can lose control easily. Why bother with me when they can be somewhere else with someone they know won't cause them trouble? And soon Liam will realize that too and leave. And for that I cannot let my wall down. I looked at him as he looked at me with hope in his eyes. He looked sincere, but he could change his mind in a second. I gave him a small smile as I nodded my head. Come on, they're waiting for us, I told him as I opened my door and walked down the hallway, and towards the garden where everyone was at. We walked outside where everyone was as they stood there watching people train. Hi, I told my dad as I walked up to him and laid my head on his arm, as he was too tall for me to put my head on his shoulder. Hey there baby girl, he told me as he kissed my forehead and looked over my head to see Liam. He looked at me and raised an eyebrow, wondering why he was right behind me. He asked for another chance. He said he can't hold back anymore, that his feelings are too strong and he can't fight the bond anymore, and that he should have never done what he did. I told them as I opened the mind link for my parents and siblings. They all turned to look at me and then at him. Are you sure about this? Asked Nick as he looked between the two of us. I don't know, I'm scared that he will change his mind again. But I'll never know if I don't give him a chance, I told him honestly. Oh baby, you have such a kind Elena. And you are so strong baby, said my mom as she came to my other side and hugged me from the side and leaned on me. Good job Elena, we are so proud of you. You will be an amazing queen to our kingdom, said my grandma in my head, as both my grandmas stared at me and smiled. Whatever happens, I just hope I don't end up regretting this. Chapter 31, Elena's POV. We were all on the way back home now, and I was in the car with Madeline, Theo, Celeste, Sapphire, Liam and Sophie. Liam was the one driving with Theo in the passenger seat, and then us girls were in the back. Sophie and Madeline were in the middle and me and my sisters were all the way in the back. I was scrolling through my phone when I felt someone looking at me. I looked up and Liam was looking at me through the rearview mirror. I raised my eyebrow at him and pointed at the road. Mom just asked if y'all wanted to stop and get food. There's a Mexican restaurant coming up, asked Theo looking at us. I don't care, said Sophie. Yes, same, said Celeste. Okay then, we will just stop up here, he said as he continued to look at his phone. How much longer till we get home? I asked Theo. About 5 hours. Why? Said Theo looking at me through the mirror. I'm going to need blood soon, I told him as I looked out the window. I felt Theo, Celeste and Sapphire look at me as I said that. We pulled up to a nice-looking Mexican restaurant and we all got out. I was the last to get out and Liam gave me his hand to help me get out. I felt the tingles shoot up my arms as I let out a sigh. Thank you, I told him as I gave him a smile. We waited for everyone else to get out the cars as I walked up to my twin and put my head on his shoulder. I'm so tired, I told him. Me too, he said to me as he leaned his head on me. You think you can wait? He asked. Yeah, I hope so, I told him as everyone was now walking towards the doors. They had combined some tables together for us so we could all sit together. And we even had a whole room to ourselves, which was amazing. I ended up sitting in between Liam and Theo. We were all talking and laughing until our food was here. I for once felt okay, I felt at ease. And I looked around smiling as I finally felt okay. Not everything was good with me and Liam, but we were going to work on it, and now I knew that he wanted me. We all finished our food and got back into our cars. This time Theo was driving with Madeline in the passenger seat and I was in the back with Liam and Sapphire. I could feel Athena purring and she was so relaxed. We hadn't felt this relaxed in a while. Feeling him beside me and the mate bond. I felt amazing. I felt myself falling asleep and my head slowly falling on his shoulder. I woke up to a click of a camera. I slowly opened my eyes to see the sun setting and us at a gas station. I looked to my left to see that I had been leaning my head against Liam, and he looked so relaxed and had been holding my hand. How much longer till we get home? I asked as I let go of Liam's hand and stretched. 1 hour and a half, said Theo as he came back in the car. Are you still alright? He asked looking at me. Yes, surprisingly I am, I said looking at Liam as I knew the reason why I had lasted this long was to him being beside me and keeping me calm. Okay, let's keep going then, he said as he sighed. If you want I can drive, you should rest, I told him. Thank you, he sighed as he ran his hands through his hair. I got out as I made my way to the front of the car. As I was passing him he hit the back of my head. I like your cut, G, he said as he laughed and got in the car. Hey, I told him as I rubbed the back of my head. You're a dick, I told him as he continued to laugh at me. I should have ate you in the womb, I told him as he stopped laughing and now I was the one laughing. Yeah, that what I thought, I told him as I continued to laugh. Are they always like this? I heard Sophie ask. Always, said my sisters at the same time. You're ugly, he said. You dumbass, we look the same, I told him laughing. At least I'm not the baby of the family, he said. You're only 10 minutes older than me, I said looking through the mirror. I noticed Liam was awake and was now staring at me. I smiled at him as I saw him smile back, making me blush. I continued to drive down the road as it was starting to get dark. Madeline had put on some music and now us girls were singing our hearts out to the music. As Theo just shook his head to the music and Liam stared at me the whole time. I pulled into our driveway to see their cars there as well as the other cars of everyone else that was driving. We all got out and got our stuff. I took my stuff and dropped it in my room and walked out my door, and bumped into someone almost hitting the ground. I swear for being what I am I'm so clumsy and do not pay attention to anything. Sorry, I said as I looked up to see Liam caught me. Can we talk? He asked, looking at my eyes and pulling me up. Yeah, of course, come on, I told him as I walked outside and sat on this hammock we had and made space for him. Are you sure this will hold both of us? He said, eyeing it. Of course, me and Theo lay on this all the time and sometimes even my sister will come sit with us. And if it holds them it will most definitely hold us, I told him, laughing. If you say so, he said, sitting down slowly, but causing the hammock to move and making me almost fall. Oh my God. I laughed as he held on to me to make sure I didn't fall. I looked up at him after I finished laughing to see him smiling down at me. What? I asked him as I continued to laugh. Nothing, he said, smiling. I'm sorry, he said, causing me to stop laughing. It's okay, I told him as I looked out into the woods. It's not okay, Elena, but I will make it up to you, I promise, he said. Okay, I said as I looked at him and gave him a small smile. I want to get to know you like the actual you. What you like, what you dislike, not what I've seen, he said as he went for my hand and made sure I wouldn't pull away before holding it. Well, what do you want to know? I told him, smiling. When's your birthday? He said. April 20th, I told him. What about you? I said. October 25th, he said. I'm a Scorpio, I said, looking at the stars. What's your favorite color? I told him. Black, he said. Of course it is, I said, laughing at him. What about you? He said. Pink, I told him, smiling up at him. Of course it is, he said, copying me and trying to do my voice, making me laugh. What's your wolf's name? He said. Athena. What about yours? I told him. Odysseus, he whispered. Odysseus, I whispered back. I saw him tense up as I saw his eyes start to turn black. What's your vampire's name? He said, clearing his throat. I'm Stella, I said, tensing up as I started to play with my hair nervously. I would like to apologize to her. I snapped my head to look at him. What? I said, shocked. I said stuff about her that I didn't mean, and that I should have never said about her. He said, looking at me. What is he being for real? Said Stella, in my head, shocked. I guess so, I told her quietly. Aye, she says you're forgiven, I told him. I started to get tears in my eyes, so I looked away. It felt nice outside today. The moon was up high, the stars were shining bright, and it was just the right temperature, and the wind would blow, causing my heat to get in my face. I am truly sorry, Elena, he said, pulling me into his arms. I leaned on him as we swung on the hammock and looked out into the forest that was lit with fireflies. Every subscription is a deeper dive into Elena's story world. Click subscribe and don't get lost.